Some protesters began to lay down on the bridge. Many were detained. Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall was out among the crowd earlier in the evening. She says she continues to support the peaceful protesters.
So I want to start by saying that what we are seeing across this country and our nation, our entire world, is hurt and pain from the death of Mr. George Floyd. We continue to see that. We continue to feel that as a police department. And we continue to pledge to work in our communities here in Dallas to continue to make Dallas safe and a city that has equity for everyone. Build partnerships with our police department and our community is our primary focus outside of safety. The purpose of this briefing is basically to give you an overview, excuse me, give you an overview of the peaceful protests that happened last night. Some would categorize it as chaos. I would say that is not true. That is absolutely not so. It was constantly changing. It was decision-making that was a result of collaboration, and we had to pivot at times. There are many who question and are not happy with the decisions that I made on yesterday. Let me be clear. I am not here to make people happy. My job and our job in law enforcement is to keep this city safe. We have pledged that, we will do that, and that is our goal. The protesters last night were peaceful, and we want to thank them for being peaceful, and we pledge that we will continue to support a peaceful protest. And we're not surprised that they were peaceful because we've had peaceful protests in the past. And what we also should not be surprised by is the fact that I stood before you and made myself extremely clear that we will arrest anyone who breaks the law. And although peaceful, the protesters broke the law. On last night, they assembled and then they began to walk. And we supported that walk. When they began to enter the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, they were given a warning because it is against the law. The Penal Code 42.03, obstruction of a highway or passageway, says that they are not allowed to walk in the middle of the roadway on a freeway, Oak Pass. And we warned them. They did not stop. They decided to take a knee on the bridge and hold their hands up and say, "Don't shoot." Again, no one should be surprised because my statement is, if you break the law, we will arrest you. My priority, our priority in law enforcement is to keep you safe, the protesters peaceful and safe. If they had remained on that bridge, we had vehicles that had to back up, and our goal was to keep them from any hurt, harm, or danger, and that means that they needed to get off of the bridge. Our actions are aligned with our words, and we will continue to do so. I also want us to be reminded that our focus continues. We have protests that are scheduled for today and this afternoon, and we will continue to be vigilant in keeping protesters, community, businesses, and our residents safe. These protests have begun peaceful all across the country, even here in Dallas. And Friday night and Saturday night, they erupted into criminal activity, vandalism, and looting. And we intend to continue to keep the city of Dallas safe. Our decision last night was to arrest those individuals, but after collaboration, I made the decision to identify each and every one of them, file at-large charges, and release them. There was one individual who was arrested because she was in possession of an illegal handgun. And so I just want to remind us that we are all here. We're all in this together. We are working with our activists. There was a meeting on yesterday before both the protests, because I talked about the protests at Crowley, but there was a separate protest at City Hall earlier at 6:30. And prior to both of those protests, some of the activists met with myself and some city leadership. And our goal is to ensure that we have an understanding, that we're working to move this city forward and identify some of the changes that we all know that need to be made in order for us to be a better city. And so we're working in that space, and we will continue to work in that space. But nothing changes about my job and our job in law enforcement. And we have pledged that we will not allow this city to be destroyed. We will not allow individuals to continue to break the law. And so that is where we are. I am going to close and take questions, but I just want to let this community and the world know that we continue to say his name. And I ask that you also continue to say his name and know that we understand, and that is George Floyd.